Chapter 3 The Long Road Home.
When Em was 4 years old, Halima knew she could not keep him any longer. So she packed her belongings and took Em back to his mother, Amina, in the city of Mecca. Now Em was a small boy with strong legs from running in the desert and bright eyes that noticed everything. "Thank you, Halima," Amina said. "You have raised him well." Halima returned to the desert, and Em stayed with his mother. For the first time in his short life, Em had a home with his mother. Amina loved him dearly. She told him stories about his father. When Em was 6 years old, Amina decided to take him on a journey. She wanted to visit her husband's grave in a city called Yathrib, far to the north. She also wanted to introduce Em to his father's relatives who lived there. Amina packed their belongings. She hired a man to drive a camel for them. A loyal maid came with them to help care for Em. They travelled for many days across the hot desert. Em had never travelled so far before. He asked many questions about the birds, the sand, and the mountains. The maid smiled at his curiosity. "This boy thinks deeply about everything," she told Amina. "Yes," Amina replied. "He is different from other children." When they reached Yathrib, Amina took Em to see where his father was buried. She stood by the grave and wept. Em watched his mother cry and felt a sadness he could not put into words. They stayed in Yathrib for 1 month. Amina introduced Em to his uncles and cousins. After 1 month, Amina decided to return to Mecca. She packed their things once more. The same driver came with his camel. The maid helped Em onto the animal. But the journey home would not end as they expected. They had travelled only a few days when Amina grew very ill. Her body became hot. She could not eat or drink. The driver stopped the camel. The maid laid Amina under the shade of a tree. Em sat beside his mother. He did not understand why she could not get up. He held her hand. "Don't be afraid, my son," Amina whispered. "Every living thing must die. I am going to your father now." Em's eyes filled with tears. Amina looked at him one last time. "Be good, my son. Be kind to others. God will protect you." And then she closed her eyes, and Em was alone. The driver dug a grave in the sand. They buried Amina where she had died, under the tree by the roadside. There was no ceremony. There were no mourners, just a small boy, a weeping maid, and a grave in the middle of nowhere. Em did not cry, not then. He stood silently and watched as the sand covered his mother forever. The maid took Em by the hand. "Come, my child," she said. "We must continue to Mecca." They rode the camel in silence for the rest of the journey. When they reached Mecca, the maid took Em to his grandfather, the chief of their tribe. The old man saw them approaching. He saw the dust on their clothes. He saw the maid's tear-stained face. He saw the young boy walking with his head down. And he knew. The old chief rose to his feet. He opened his arms. Em walked into them, and for the first time since his mother died, the 6-year-old boy began to cry. "Shh, my son," the grandfather whispered. "You are not alone. You will always have a home with me." From that day forward, his grandfather treated Em with special care. He gave him the best food. He sat him on his own cushion. He defended him against anyone who was unkind. People in Mecca noticed. "The old chief loves that orphan boy more than his own sons," they whispered. And it was true. Grandfather saw something in Em that others could not yet see. For 2 years, Em lived safely under his grandfather's care. The old chief taught him about the tribe, about honor, and about treating people fairly. Em listened carefully to every word. But when Em was 8 years old, his grandfather grew ill. The strong old man, who had led his tribe for decades, became weak. He knew his time was near. He called one of his sons, Em's uncle, to his bedside. "Take care of this boy," the grandfather said, placing his hand on Em's head. "He is my dearest. Protect him as I have protected him." Then he turned to Em. "My son, you will become greater than any man in Arabia. I have seen it in your face. Be good, be honest, and never forget that God watches over you." Soon after, the old chief closed his eyes. Em had lost another person he loved. But this time, Em was not alone. His uncle took him by the hand. "Come, my nephew," uncle said. You will live with me now. I will be your father, and my sons will be your brothers." And so M went to live in his uncle's house, where he would stay for many years.